Match week 15, we get some midweek football.
Oh my goodness. We're sending on 2 videos this week.
2 videos this week.
my
December
goodness.
is a packed, my hamstring from all this filming.
Are you okay, Brock?
Fixture congestion for us as well.
my
It's
goodness.
coming in on us.
We are just throwing out videos for you. We got 2 this week, along with just a lot of soccer. A lot of soccer, and so we're excited for this match week.
What a joy this last weekend was.
Oh my goodness.
And when we look at last week, we picked some of the same fixtures, but there was one pivotal that was a very controversial pick, and it pays dividends.
It pays dividends. The scores from last week were 5-4. I get that decisive point in the Chelsea-Brighton fixture. Yeah. And that's 2 weeks in a row that I take the dub.
2 weeks in a row. You can now say you're chipping away.
I am chipping. It's chipping. I need 5 more weeks. Win by 1, 5 more weeks, and we'll be level. Let's do it.
Cool.
Because that brings the overall totals to 95-90. Brock has that overall scores tally up there, and I'm just chipping away week by week.
I could become a Centurion this week.
Wow, that first Centurion in Amateur history. Yeah. That would be special.
What an honor it would be.
Oh my goodness. Well, let's just get into the fixtures.
I think we should hop right in. We got a busy week.
First week of the midweek fixtures. We got Wolves-Burnley.
Wolves-Burnley.
And in this one, Wolves coming off of a loss that was closer than many would have, but then it should have been, right? It was 2-1 at the end of it. But they did get a late goal to try and make it nervy.
Yeah,
right?
It's one of those ones.
And Burnley coming off of a 5-0 home thumping to get their first home win of the season, and to be now only 1 game out of getting out of that relegation zone.
Yeah, it was, first of all, unreal to see Burnley bagging like that. That's not a side that you would sit there and say, I think Burnley's going to score. There's a reason none of us have picked Burnley to score 5 goals.
Yeah.
And then to touch on Wolves a little bit, they're just such a defensively solid team. They are no slouch, and they make it tough. It's one of those games where you could have seen Arsenal run away with it, but they kept it close. They get a goal, and all of a sudden it's nervy. All of a sudden it's nervy, and that's the kind of team we've seen Wolves be. Correct me if I'm wrong. Neto is going to be back this week. I'm hearing whispers that he's going to be back.
So there's talks that he's back in the squad.
I could be wrong.
I haven't heard, but time will tell, right?
Could be fun.
That's our new go-to. Time will tell.
Don't know. Time will tell.
But in this fixture, I'll go ahead and take it first this week. I'm going to go Burnley 2-1 on the road.
Burnley 2-1 on the
2-1
road.
on the road.
You think that the form carries?
Form carries. We've said it time and time again.
Yeah.
They've finally gotten that win, and I just think you score 5 goals, confidence it's less of form carries, it's more of confidence carries.
Yeah.
And I think they come into this being like, this is a winnable game, and they take them down 2-1.
2-1. Burnley, that's a bold pick. I'm going to get the inverse of that decision. I like Wolves at home, 2-1. It's just one of those things. Burnley scored lots of goals last week. Don't think they have a ton of them this week.
Yep. And the next fixture for us here is Luton at home against Arsenal. Man, oh man. The Kenny is going to be bumping for the Gunners to come to town, aren't they?
League leaders.
Wow.
Arsenal comes to town.
Wow.
Okay, I'm reading The Athletic. Shout out to The Athletic.
Yeah. If you're not on The Athletic, you're not getting proper football content.
I saw a article that was talking about, in the history of English football, Arsenal has never won at Luton. In 10 games, now albeit this is going back to 1980s, these are when grandpas are playing, but Arsenal's never won at Kenny. Are Arsenal the underdogs going to Luton?
Wow.
I don't know.
Storyline. Storyline. That is shocking to hear, because Luton's a side that only a couple years ago they're playing in the 4th division. Right.
Yeah.
And so that is a crazy stat. But this is 2023 Premier League. Arsenal's top of the table.
Yeah.
Luton's in a relegation battle.
Right.
I just don't see that happening. Do I?
No, and it's funny because we've seen Arsenal, gotten to see them in Europe a little bit, where teams don't play the low block. Wow. And what does Arsenal do? Flying. But it's so tough. We've talked about it before. The Kenny. The grass is a little bit longer. The stadium's a little bit tighter. It's a little bit narrower.
The tackles are a little bit harder.
Yeah, exactly. and you're going to see Luton sit in a low block, and they're going to make it difficult for Arsenal. I think it's going to be a really tough game, coming right off the back of a fixture.
Yeah.
But I do want to go ahead and throw out there.
Yeah.
Arsenal will take care of this game. I think they win it 2-0. Probably something scrappy. VAR penalty to get us off the run. Maybe Saka, and then just something cleanup time. Kai Havertz scores again.
Wow. Keep the form going.
Yeah, keep it going.
All right. I'm gonna agree with you. 2-0.
2-0.
And I'm going to take it to the next one here.
Yep.
Next game. Into the Wednesday fixtures, we have a good game here. Brighton against Brentford. The two Bs.
A great game. The two Bs. No, that's waffle. That is waffle. We don't want to relive that.
But Brentford, Brighton, kind of these two teams with very, very similar identities.
Yeah.
Right? They are these small mid-table clubs that can beat the big boys.
Yeah.
And it's a really difficult game to predict.
And it's fun because it's similar identities as far as punching up, just be overperforming maybe what their club represents, but very different tactically. You see Brighton play fluid football, Brentford a little bit more on the break.
Counter,
And so it's super fun to see two different teams that are in large part achieving very similar results play a very different style.
It's true.
It's kind of fun.
It's true.
Yeah.
And it comes down to the managers, right? Sherby and Thomas Frank. They both have an identity in how they play. They bring in personnel to fit it, and they are both getting success in different ways. Right. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take this one, this prediction here. I'm going to just throw it out there. 2-1 to Brentford.
Really?
A shocking little result. But I think they'll get it done.
Just off the back of you think a counter-attacking team sets up nicely against Brighton. I kind of want to prod at
and I would agree with what you just said there. I just think Brighton sometimes have a very difficult time breaking down teams. Yeah. And Brentford are very organized in the back. Yeah. Right. And I don't know if you saw this stat. Mbeumo is the third player in 2023 to have 10 goals and 10 assists. Yeah. Right. And you're sitting there being like, wow, what a player this is that he's putting up numbers like that. And I think one of the other players on that list was Saka. And so you're sitting there being like, wow, that's crazy that he's obviously not in the conversation with Saka. But I'm just saying it's to see what he's doing for the Brentford club shows you something. Right. But all that being said, I think I'm going to go with the Bees here.
Wow. And when I look at this fixture, I can only see it ending one way, a shootout. And I think it's going to be a 3-3 shootout. Wow. We're going to see a draw. I think you're going to see goals galore, probably a lot of controversy, but I have it 3-3.
3-3, bit of chaos. Let's get to the next fixture here. We have Crystal Palace at home against Bournemouth. Yeah. And Bournemouth pick up a great point against Aston Villa. And Palace get a point against West Ham. Yeah. So both of these clubs coming off a draw. Yeah. What are your thoughts coming into this one?
And we've seen Bournemouth flying. We kind of joked running into each other talking about, is Bournemouth the new Forest? Yeah. Early on, we rate Forest, they're this side that can punch up. And we've seen them string together a couple of results. And it makes you want to think that Bournemouth is a real deal. You're like, wow, are they a...
It comes down to Solanke. Yeah. It really
He's
does.
a difference maker.
He's having a striker that can score in multiple ways on these kind of mid-table to bottom half sides is crucial. Yeah. Is crucial. And so, I mean, Palace, again, injuries continue to be a conversation with them. But I'm gonna go ahead and throw out the 1-1.
1-1.
The 1-1 for me here.
Yeah. And I was kind of on the fence. It's either 1-1 or Palace gets it. And I think Palace finds a difference maker somewhere in there. Set piece. When in doubt, piece it out. 2-1 Palace.
2-1 Palace. Let's go to the next fixture here. We have Fulham at the Cottage against Nottingham Forrest. Yeah. And just give me a second to debrief. Yep. To debrief. Fulham go to Anfield and put up 3 goals. Yeah. That is sensational.
For how much we've talked about. Yeah. They can't score.
They went score. Back. We talked. They can't score. They scored 3-2 games in a row. But heartbreaking stuff. To go up 3-2 at Anfield, the hardest place in Europe to go play.
Absolutely.
And to end up losing 4-3, it's heartbreaking. Right. Yeah. But there's a sense of belief now with that club. Yeah. Right?
There is. I mean no doubt.
You score 3 at Anfield, you compete with the big boys like that. Yeah. You're going into a game at home against Forest with a bit of belief. Yeah. Right? Yeah. And Forest, what did they do last week?
Forest.
Oh, they lost to Everton.
Lost to Everton.
Oh, yeah. Well, there you have it. So they're coming off a loss.
Right.
And so, what is your prediction going into this one?
Yeah, and without diving too much into the Fulham-Arsenal, it's been 3. I wouldn't have even known this without having a Fulham fan with me here.
Yeah.
They've scored 3 twice in a row. And these teams are tight in the table, but
15th versus 14th. Yeah.
Just for the controversy, I'm going to throw my hat in the ring with Forrest.
Wow.
2-1. I think they go and they get it done.
2-1 Fulham. Let's go to the next fixture.
You love to see
Yeah.
it.
A little bit of differentiation. The next fixture, we'll bring it to you. Sheffield United-Liverpool. We just talked about Liverpool.
Yeah.
4 absolute bangers to
Yeah.
get the 3 points at home.
Yeah.
Sheffield battered by their relegation battle, Burnley.
Yeah.
And so they are not in a great place right now.
No.
They really aren't.
No.
And now they're going against Liverpool, who's sitting very high in the table at the moment.
And you watch that Liverpool game, those are the kind of results that really propel a team into a title push. Where you go down late in the game and you find the belief to be able to go score, and they're all bangers.
Oh.
It takes 4 bangers to beat Fulham.
Yeah.
But we can look past that and just say, even on a day that they probably didn't play their best, they found a way to win.
It's what good teams do.
Yeah, it's what great teams do.
Yeah.
And so for me, it's personally fun to see, like, you look at all these different teams that are involved in the way too early title push, and to see Liverpool be able to go and get that result, I think it speaks volumes. They're going to go win this game 3-0.
4-0.
Whoa.
Liverpool will get the job done. They'll keep the goals going.
Darwin Nunez hat trick.
Why not? And that brings us to a very, very tasty little Wednesday fixture, right? Aston Villa against City. Villa at home. And the story of this one is City dropping points in 3 consecutive games.
Not just dropping points from the lead.
Wow.
We don't see that from City. We don't see that from City. I even threw it out there on last week.
Yeah.
These are the kind of games we see Pep sharing. The team turns up for him. And they didn't kill off the game when they had a chance. And that is what City has done just historically. They just kill games off.
And granted, it's against 3 big clubs, right? It's not like they're just dropping points.
No, of course.
But you're right. Those are the games you just expect them. When they're a close draw, like when they're a draw, you're sitting there being like, okay, maybe the other team can nick it, and then City will come back and win anyways. Yeah. But when City are in the lead, you're sitting there like, why should I even be watching the game? I know the outcome.
Absolutely.
And you're right, 3 weeks in a row, they drop points from the lead. And that's just unexpected from City. Unexpected with City. Villa, again, drop points. And if they would have won that game against Bournemouth at the weekend, they would have jumped to 2nd in the league. Yeah. Which just goes to show you where they're at. I mean, sitting only 4 points off the top. Yeah. And this is a huge game.
Yeah, and it's a huge game, and you look at it, and it just feels really hard. Internally, it feels really hard because we haven't seen the same City, and we talk about it over and over again. Yeah. De Bruyne, huge miss, makes you scared for when he's going to be back. But these are the kind of games where like City feels vulnerable. Yeah. On the road against Villa, but I just can't do it. I can't get myself to do it. I can't get myself to do it.
Go for it.
I can't.
4 straight draws.
City 2-1.
Wow.
They're going to take care of Villa.
Wow.
I just can't. Okay. I can't.
The storyline, last game against when we were watching them play, Holland. Oh my goodness, he was missing sitters. My. I was really surprised. I was like, it was just weird to see.
It didn't feel right.
It didn't feel right to see him miss some of the chances that he had against Tottenham. But you're right. Everything in you is like, oh, we keep saying form carries, we keep saying all these different things. But the reality is, to pick against City is a hard thing to do.
It is hard.
Right? I'm going to go 2-0.
2-0.
I don't think Villa will get on the board. But 2-0. And that will take us to the next fixture, which is our game of the week. We have Man United against Chelsea as our game of the week this week.
It's a fun one.
Why did we decide to take this one as our game of the week?
I think there's 2 things that we considered. Yeah. First of all, United, Chelsea, 2 historically rival clubs. Like, you think of the red, you think of the blue, you think United. Chelsea, right?
Yeah.
So just the historical context, the fall of grace that we've seen for both of these clubs, where, I mean, I think these are the two teams that we mentioned the eye test more than anything.
Yeah.
Chelsea, we've been like, well, the results aren't coming, but the eye test.
Yeah.
And then on the flip side of that, you get United. Oh, the results are coming, but the eye test.
Yeah.
And so it just makes it so fun where you're like, do I go with history or do I go with eye test?
Yeah.
Where do I place my allegiance? And then more importantly, we're just sick and tired of picking City games and them being underwhelming.
Yeah, that's the reality of it. And so this is an interesting one for us both to pick, right? It's a very interesting one, in the sense of it feels like both of these clubs need a Big Six win.
Yeah,
like it's not just a sense of like, oh my goodness, we want to pick these two clubs. It's like they both need these 3 points for their season, before that confidence, for them to build into the rest of the season, right?
Yeah.
And so I think you picked it last week.
I did.
And so that means I'm on it this week.
I'm so what a blessing.
What a blessing! What a blessing! Oh, this is a tough one.
It is tough.
It's a tough one.
I've
been on a I've said 2-1 for like multiple games today.
Yeah.
And so I'm gonna keep writing that 2-1 Chelsea.
2-1 Chelsea. Okay. Now that really puts me in a doozy here. You've kind of handcuffed me, but it's just come to me what the result is going to be.
Wow.
And I'm so glad that I received that before my mouth opened, because it's going to be a 1-1 result.
Wow.
It's so funny because we watched, and I'll tell you why. United at Newcastle get battered for most of the game. I think most people would say Newcastle should have won by more. But the reality was, in those last 7 to 8 minutes, United had them under pressure. They put the ball in the back of the net. Obviously, Maguire's offsides, but for some reason, this United team finds a way to get results. I think Chelsea will come in. They'll score pretty early. It'll be a scrappy game. Something late.
Wow.
Something late. Rashford, baby. Rashford's going to score. Wow. 1-1 draw. All 4 points to Brock.
Wow.
Almost.
He needs it. He needs it. Brings us to the Thursday fixtures. We have Everton against Newcastle. Everton coming off of that massive win against Forrest. They really, really needed Neil with an absolute thumping goal, right?
Yeah.
And Newcastle coming off of that just dominant win where they barely nick it, though.
Yeah, they barely nick it, yeah.
Right? And so Newcastle's been playing really, really good soccer. And the reality is, Everton have 2. If they didn't get that 10-point deduction, they're sitting very, very comfortably mid-table.
Yeah.
Right? But with that points deduction, they're in 18th, right?
Yeah. And
they're still not in. They're not out of the relegation zone yet.
No.
But the fact they're even in a conversation to not be relegated after a 10-point deduction shows you that they've been playing pretty good football this year, right? What do you think going into this one?
It's just gonna be crazy, and I'm gonna get ripped to shreds in the comments. But I'll tell you why I'm gonna do it first.
No.
Newcastle really struggling. Go look at their bench for the United fixture. This fixture congestion, we talk about, my hammy from doing these videos, man. I can only imagine Anthony Gordon sprinting full speed, and he's got to go do it again. And they go to Goodison Park with Everton having a reason to want it, man.
Wow.
2-1 Everton. They take down Newcastle at home. It just feels right.
That is a crazy result. I was thinking Deichball, maybe he goes 1-0 or 1-1.
2-1.
Wow. 2-1. I'm going to go Newcastle.
Go safe.
I'll go safe.
Yeah.
Newcastle 2-0. I just don't think Everton can score against Newcastle. I think Newcastle are just so solid in the back.
Yeah.
And so this will be an interesting one.
Yeah.
But that brings us to the last match of the week. We have Tottenham at home against West Ham, a little London derby, right?
Yeah.
Tottenham coming off of a massive point
Thank
at City.
you.
City just cannot beat Spurs, can they?
Heung-min Son always shows up.
Always.
Scoring for both teams.
Why not? I don't know. I think he was joking after. He's like, man, it's a good experience for me as a footballer to be able to score an own goal at City. he was waffling or something. It's been a fun, man. But this is an interesting game because like we said before that match against City, Spurs were on a 3-game losing streak.
Yeah.
And you still look at that side and you see holes because players are
you're
hurt,
missing.
Right, you're still missing some key players. But again, they have a little bit of heart, don't they?
Yeah, they
Don't
do, and they play football in a very pretty way.
Yeah,
and you have to respect that. It has been tough because you lose Madison, and there goes a large part of your goal threat. I think Heung-min Son, for the most part, has only been the only consistent goal threat.
Yeah,
and it's really hurt them. I think that's why you saw them go on the run of 3.
Kulu's not been bad though.
Kulu, but he's not scoring. That's what's important. He has great performances, but even I think Spurs fan, I'm hearing saying he doesn't back. He's not a Sir Bags a lot.
Fair enough.
But he gets a big one in a big game.
Is Lo Celso the new? He needs to be a consistent starter because he's come in. He's been the player that's been able to come in for them and be consistent.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt. Continue on.
No, and I think this just kind of gets me down to where I think the result will head. I think Spurs have goals in them, and I think you'll see that. I have Spurs winning this game 3-1.
Wow, 3-1. I am sorry, but I will say the same thing.
Okay, same thing.
3-1.
Little handshake to end out the
to end out
midweek
video. The midweek video. Graphic. We'll go ahead and throw it up there now. I mean, it's fun having soccer this often.
It does.
I know match congestion. I know the players are tired. I know we're getting tired over here. You know, I'm getting sore. But the reality is having soccer throughout the week is just so much fun.
And it also makes me excited because I know we have so many people that watch this and are United and they're Chelsea fans. And I want to see them batting heads in the comments.
Yep,
I want to see you signing off. Get down there and just be a Muppet.
We need more interaction with these videos.
Yeah.
We just need it because it's fun. It's what makes it fun.
Yeah.
Right. So all that being said, thank you guys for watching. Have a good week.
Cheers.